Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? What's up, Chill?
What up, brother? What's going on with you? We in the house.
Right. Well, man, welcome back to another episode of Chill with Chill. Thank y'all for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I mean, we know Chill is worldwide famous, so we know we got y'all tapped in from all four corners of the world.
Mhm.
So, Chill, what's been going on, man? We
And
seen you had
not
a
much,
major
man.
big, seen
Not
you had a
much.
major guest on Fluent Chill this Thursday.
And it was dope too, right?
Yeah.
Because get to talking to him because I ain't seen him in a while. It was one of them things where we kind of separated for a little bit, and I ain't seen my cousin in a while. And
Yeah.
it was good to catch up with him before the show. And like I still been talking to him, but I hadn't seen him in a while. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I was able to catch up with him and chop it up. And like I said, y'all so used to seeing him, buttoned up and straight laced, and to actually get on the show and just hang out and it be a real cool atmosphere. That was dope. Plus, what it did too, man, was not just with our show, it legitimized all of us. Like this makes
Yeah.
us official. That like
Yeah.
we not a mom and pop shop. It might look like it on the surface, but like we for real, we serious over here. We're not
Yeah.
playing games. We dead serious over here. So
No doubt.
we not playing. We dead serious over here.
Yeah, man. I seen ever since then you've been catching a little heat from Ticket. Y'all been going back and forth about the certain implications, with Shaq being
Yeah.
your cousin in the Kobe Bryant list. I think we got to debunk that at some point because
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else
yeah,
to say, Ox, because I mean, I've gone over this a bunch of different times. I don't have nothing personal against the man. It ain't got nothing to do with the fact that Shaq is family. It
yeah,
has nothing. It has nothing to do with that. It's like I said, from 1 to 11, all 11 of those dudes got a legit case for being a top 10 player. So of those 11 guys, one of
hmm
them got to come out. One of them got to come out, and if
yeah,
that one guy comes out, you got to be look. Of course, even if it's not Bryant, if it's Bill Russell, if it's Chamberlain, if it's Bird, if any one of them dudes come out, there's going to be somebody that's going to be looking around like, wait a minute, what? You telling me
yeah,
that Bird ain't a top 5? You ain't telling me that Bird ain't a top 10 player? You telling me Bill Russell is not a top 10 player? You telling me that this guy isn't a top 10 player? Because like I said, man, my criteria of top 10 all time, I've already been over this. Number one is
hmm
your game timeless. That's number one. I care about if you could do it 20 years from now, or 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years before now. I care about that. Number two, did you dominate? I care about that. Number three, did you win? And the reason why winning isn't as high on my list as those other things, because a lot of stuff goes into winning.
right,
You
right,
need a lot of things to go your way in order to win. You could be as dominant as possible. Karl Malone averaged almost 30 and 10 for a decade, but the fact that he didn't win is because he needed some things to go his way that didn't. I mean, we'd be
exactly,
having a way different conversation about him had they beat the Bulls just one time.
yeah,
We'd be having a way different conversation. So I don't have winning as high on my list simply because you need a lot of things to go your way in order for you to win. Number four, what kind of, if I remember this correctly, because I've been over this, I've been over this so many times, man.
yeah,
How transcendent is your game,
yeah,
right? So what I mean when I say how transcendent is your game, when we look at your game, when we look at your game, how much does your game affect other people? And I don't just mean in today's game. I'm talking about yesterday's game. I'm talking about tomorrow's game. I'm talking about how far along is your game going to be 20 years from now? We still going to be talking about your game, right? Not just you as a player. We're talking about your game. How how
hmm
how far along does that go? And then number five, I care about socially how
yeah,
impactful
yeah,
you were. I care about how big a deal you were amongst people, and I don't just mean on the basketball court. I mean just as a dude. Like how impactful were you? How much did people care about? How much did you affect society? Right. So when I come up with that, when I break down that entire criteria, I come up with James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. Those are
yeah.
my guys, and
That
Bryant is
sounds good.
right. And Bryant is right outside the top 10. And the reason why is, again, one of the main reasons why I have six big guys in my top 10, because the game has been predicated around the big man ever since I was a kid. The best players who ever play the game are big guys. I
hmm
got of the top 10 players in my top 10. 6 of them are big men.
Right.
Only one of them is a guard, and that's Magic. Only one of them. And the reason why is because those other players transcended the game. They dominated the game. They won in dramatic fashion, and they did it for a long time. That goes to the logic of dominating. So when I think about all of those things that I said, that's the 10 that I come up with. And Bryant is right on the outside looking in. It's not like he's 15 or 19 or 22. Oh, I'm talking about in the history of the NBA, since I've been watching and since I've been studying the game, of the 75-year history of the game, 10 guys I've seen or that I've done homework on are better than him. That's it. Right. Not 11, not 12, not 15, just 10. And you can make a legit argument that he's one of those 10 guys because, like I said, we can have a conversation from anywhere between 7 and 11. I'm cool with that. Absolutely. I got no problem with that. But as far as, you know, the fanfare, and I think it's good for the people, man. I mean, the animosity, it's good for the people. It's really good entertainment. I welcome it, to be honest with you. And the reason why I welcome it, Ox, is because I know that I could defend my stance. Yeah. I know that my stance is one that I can defend. It's not something where I'm going, well, wait a minute. No, everything that I talk about, when I talk about the guys that I have, that I think are the 10 best players in NBA history, I could defend a last one of them. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm confident with that, as opposed to, well, I'm not really sure about this guy. No, I'm good. I'm good with the guys that I have in there.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing about only having doing the top 10 out of 4,700, 5,000 players. If you only do a top 10, somebody's gonna be pissed. But I mean, there's too many. These players are so good. There's at least 15 players that can be in the top 10, maybe more.
Right.
Before we go any further, though, let me go ahead and shout out our GOAT members, King J and Comatose. We appreciate y'all. Mm-hmm. It's nothing but a click away, y'all. That's all y'all got to do is just one click, and y'all can be GOAT members as well. Mm-hmm. So, also, chat, you know, y'all run the show, so y'all let us know what y'all want to talk about. Hit those super chats. Let us know where we want to go. But until then, we will recap some games from last night. You know, did you check some out last night?
I did.
Okay, I know the Wizards played the Celtics. They took care of them. How do you feel about that with the Celtics? You know, they dropped some games against teams that typically we look at like that should be easy work.
Right, it should be. And you would think that, especially during this time of the season, that they would handle teams like that. But if you look at what the Celtics have been doing, I mean, I think they won 7 of their last 10, and I think they've won 6 of their last 7. Before last night, they won 6 of their last 7. So they have been rolling. And Jason Tatum, you guys already know how I feel about him. I think Jason Tatum is arguably a top 5 player. And if he's not, he's right outside the top 5. I think he's one of the best young players in the game. But what happened last night with the Boston Celtics, the separator was them at the long ball line. The Celtics are a team, they've made no bones about it, that they're a long ball shooting team. Their coach has made that crystal clear. They're a long ball shooting team. I mean, Al Horford went 1 for 7 last night on the long ball, right? Al Horford goes 1 for 7 on the long ball. And I don't mind when a guy shoots the long ball if it's good shots. Right. But when you just shooting it just to shoot it, and a lot of the shots that he was getting, like in transition, right? A lot of the shots that he was getting, even in the half court where the shot clock was running down, those are bad shots where you can give a guy a shot fake and get to the basket. Now, Al Horford got some years on him, right? Al Horford got some years on him, so I shouldn't be dependent on Al Horford to shoot the long ball. Right. I'm not sure that he should be shooting the long ball 7 times. But again, we're talking about a Boston Celtic team that, I mean, I think they 5th or 6th in the league in not just attempts. I think they're in the top 5 in makes as well. And last night they shot 25% on the long ball. Well, when you're a jump shooting team like they are, you got to be more efficient in order to have a chance to win. I think they had 2 guys last night go 0 for 8 combined. Like, you're not going to beat nobody. You're not going to beat anybody when you shoot. You're not going to beat anybody when you're shooting the long ball like that. Plus, a team in Washington that's basically fighting for their playoff lives, right? Even though they probably aren't going to. They're on the outside looking in, where they're on the outside looking in of the play-in tournament, but they still fighting to get in. I think they're 3 games behind Chicago, And the season isn't exactly over, and they aren't eliminated totally. So they still fighting for their playoff lives.
Yeah, mathematically they can still make it. What do we have? 4 games, 6 to 5 games left?
I think 7 games left.
7, okay.
I think 7 more games left. So they're not totally eliminated. But with that being said, you have to come out knowing that these teams that aren't eliminated, like the Washington Wizards, right? Like Orlando, which I always felt like the Orlando Magic, that was a bad matchup for the Celtics. The way that they play and how young they are, that's a bad matchup for the Celtics. But the good thing about the Celtics is like I said, they've won 7 of their last 10, 6 of their last 7. So they can pick this right back up and go right back on a winning streak. Mm-hmm. This isn't a situation where the season is doomed. No, I think they're just fine.
Yeah, I do as well. But you know what? Actually, this super chat here from Alex Pickering is going to go into the next game I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. The Heat dropping one to the Raptors last night. So Alex Pickering says, I see the Heat being a problem in the playoffs. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Thoughts?
Playoff Jimmy is absolutely a real thing. I initially was on the fence about playoff Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy being a real thing. Kind of like I was, and you're a big Rondo guy. So I a while ago, I was thinking, is playoff Rondo a real thing? That was of course until I saw him in the playoffs when he was with the Lakers and they won the NBA championship. I kind of got reminded of that. I knew that he performed in the playoffs, but when I watched him in 2020 when they were in the bubble, when he was playing in the playoffs, I was like, playoff Rondo is an absolute thing. No question about that. Jimmy Butler is the same way where he'll start cranking it up. We get later into the season. When I say later, Ox, I mean like the last 15, 20 games left in the season. He'll start to crank it up. And then the next thing you know, Jimmy Butler is starting to look like that guy that we talked about before the season, like a top 10 player, top 15 player. He's starting to look like that guy again. And the Miami Heat look like they're going to be a difficult out. I thought Toronto last night, I thought they did a good job on Bam more than anything. I thought they did a real good job on Bam, and I thought they did a good job of forcing turnovers and speeding up the game. I think that was the difference more than anything. I like I said, I can appreciate Tyler Herro as a starter. I much would rather him as a rotation guy because I think that he would serve Miami so much better if he was in a Manu Ginobili type of role. If Tyler Herro was in a Manu Ginobili type of role where he was coming off the bench, plus playing starter minutes, where if he was playing 25, 30 plus minutes a night and still getting that rhythm, I think he would be so much better as opposed to being a starter because they're accustomed to him and they keying on him, kind of like with Jordan Poole. Like, how much better is Jordan Poole as a rotation guy as opposed to a starter? As good as he is as a starter, I think Jordan Poole is awesome. Yeah. But as a rotation guy, oh, man, I think he's so much better. Much better.
Yeah, and he gets those minutes against second-string guys, too.
Yeah, and I think this Heat team, I think that they're going to be considering who they got to see. So if the playoffs started today, I think they got to see Philly they got to see Boston in round 1. I think that's a 6-7 game dogfight.
Well, it looks like the Celtics usually have trouble with Jimmy Butler. So,
yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
That's not a bad matchup for the Heat.
Yes, they do.
Deco came through.
Yeah.
What's up, OG and Bobby? Just wondering, what would it take for Steph to get into your top 10? I have him 10 on mine. How you feel about that, Chill?
I'm just trying to figure out who got to come out. So James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. Who coming out? If I'm putting Steph Curry in that, according to my criteria, which one of those guys in my top 10 are coming out? He does not go ahead of James. He doesn't go ahead of Jordan. He doesn't go ahead of Jabbar. He doesn't go ahead of Chamberlain. He doesn't go ahead of Russell because I want to make sure that we clear, Bob. I want to make sure that we clear when we're talking about the top 10 players. Like I mentioned about when I was talking to Shaq when I said that I don't think Kobe Bryant did anything else better than I don't think Kobe Bryant did anything better than James except shoot free throws. That's not all though. Like there's so much more that goes into being an all-time great player. The fact that you're just a better free throw shooter or the fact that you're a better long ball shooter, that's not enough. Like what else do you bring in terms of gravity? Not just in terms of gravity, in terms of your all-around game, how you fit into a unit. How do you perform on the biggest stage as opposed to what your failures were like? How did you bounce back when you had failures? What did you look like during the regular season? Did you dominate? Were you awesome for a long time? I mean, we talk about a guy in Steph Curry who I think he made the All-NBA team. I think it was in year 4. either year 4 or year 5. So Steph Curry is in year 13. So if he made the All-NBA team in year 4, a third of his career was already over before he became elite. So Steph Curry has what an 8-year stretch where he's awesome. Okay, I can get with that logic. But for me, it has to be at least a decade strong before we could say, yo, this dude is that dude. And all of those guys that are in my top 10 can say that at minimum, I was awesome for a decade.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Steph getting into my top 10 with all due respect.
I got him at 12 behind Bryant, and I can't see him jumping Bryant. I can't.
Yeah. So did John not play again last night against the? I mean, they got the dub. They were playing Orlando,
right?
But it looks like Ja once again wasn't there.
Was he out the lineup?
Yeah, he wasn't there. So, but you know that's the thing about Memphis. They get it done when Ja's not there.
Well, I think that's because they play different, and not only do they play different, Ox, their unit is predicated on Jaren Jackson being their staple. That's why I had them as a playing team before the season started. I had them as a playing team before the season started because I thought Jaren Jackson was going to be out for months. Like he came back, I think the season started, and he was right back in the lineup like within a month. They had him not coming back until Christmas. So I'm thinking, well, 2 months out the lineup, considering what the Western Conference looks like, and then him getting into basketball shape and him getting back acclimated to the game, I think that they're going to struggle. But the fact that he got right back into the lineup, and in the process of him getting back in the lineup, he was that defensive presence that they didn't have. Yeah. And now they got that, and they pride themselves on him being that dude. Now, offensively, they do that by committee. They don't have one guy that we go, all right, we rely solely on you. Like when Ja's out the lineup, they don't have one guy that we rely solely on you in order to get us over the hump. Nah, They go to Desmond Bain. They go to Dylan Brooks. They go to Tyus Jones. They go to these guys who help them in their offense. So they basically do it by committee. Now, with that being said, when Ja comes back, now they completely switch up their offense because now he's their playmaker. He's their transition player. He's their best one-on-one player. So now these guys basically play off of him as opposed to when he's not in the lineup. So are they a better team without him? Are they a better team with him? No question about that. They are a better team with him because he brings what a lot of people don't have. The difference is when he's off the floor, they have to switch up their game, and they're really good at that.
Yeah, they are. They really win by committee. They do everything.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson, I think his impact is a little underappreciated by fans.
Well, I think we talking about arguably the defensive player of the year, Big Ox. Yeah, one of the best rim protectors in the game. Now he could do a better job in being a smarter defender. What I mean when I say that is he does a great job at rim protecting, right? He does a great job at rim protecting. He's got to be a smarter defender in the aspect of him picking up ticky-tack fouls. So, for example, him getting the basketball on the wing and him getting doubled, trying to dribble out of the double and hooking a guy and picking up my 4th foul. Now I got to sit down in the middle of the 3rd quarter. That hampers my unit.
It does.
That hampers my unit, and I got to be smarter than that as an offensive, not just as an offensive player, not just as a defender, but as an overall player. I got to be smarter than that. And if he could do that, I think he's on his way to something really special.
How do we feel about the Cavaliers dropping a close one to the Hawks?
I'll tell you what, Ox. Number one, that Cavs defense, I think it's the best defense in the league. I have actually, and you and me had this conversation already. I got Evan Mobley as the defensive player of the year. Yeah. I think he impacts that defense just as much, if not more, than anybody else. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jaren Jackson is arguably the best rim protector in the game. Same thing with Brook Lopez. You can make an argument. Brook Lopez is the best rim protector in the game. But when I look at what Evan Mobley does for that Cavs unit, right? Not just his ability to man the paint because he's got Jared Allen behind him, right? Just like Giannis has Brook Lopez with him. Not just his ability to man the paint, his ability to rebound, his ability to defend on the perimeter, to not just disrupt rhythm, but change the direction of shots, change the direction of offenses when he's playing. Again, he's a legit 6'10", so he puts a lot of pressure on guys, not just on the block, but he puts a lot of pressure on the guys on the perimeter, plus in transition. So I really dig Evan Mobley. I think that you can make I think he's the defensive player of the year. Now, I understand that Brook Lopez is also like Jaren Jackson, one of the best defensive players in the game, best rim protectors in the game. But Evan Mobley, that defense, that Cleveland Cavaliers defense goes as he goes. And that's why that team is as good as they are defensively. That's why that team is as good as they are. I thought they did a real good job last night on Trae Young. Forced him into a lot of bad shots. I think he went 4. I think he went 4 for like 13 or 14, 4 or 15 or something like that. I thought they forced him into a lot of bad shots. Not to mention keeping those other guys like Collins and keeping those dudes off balance. Now, when you get into the meat and potatoes of the game where, it could be a possession here or a possession there, it could go either way. I understand that. But for the majority of the game, they basically kept Atlanta close. And with them keeping Atlanta close, I definitely like my chances more with Cleveland than I do with the Atlanta Hawks. I just think that was a game that was dropped. I think that was a game that was just dropped, and I think that they'll bounce back from that. I think Cleveland's going to be a tough out, Ops. I do, man. I think Cleveland's going to be a real tough out.
I do as well. So what I want to ask you is this: the Heat, they're in their 7th seed, but they're just a half a game behind the Nets. So are we talked about it? I had them passing the Nets. The Heat dropped onto the Raptors last night. The Nets play the Rockets tonight. So I'm assuming they'll beat the Rockets. I think that's a fair assumption. I'm assuming they'll beat the Rockets. That puts them up a little closer. Is it possible that the Nets can hold the Heat off and stay out of the play-in tournament?
Well, the way that the Nets playing as of right now, I mean, they lost 6 of their last 7. Right?
Not only 7 of the last 10.
Yeah, they lost 6 of their last 7. 7 of their last 10. So, I mean, I'm not in love with the Brooklyn Nets. Plus, and I've mentioned this in the past, you got a bunch of teams in the league that have guys that could keep the game close. The separator is, who is that guy that can push us over the top? For example, when Dirk Nowitzki was running with Dallas, Dirk was that guy who was making it clear to Jason Terry and not Josh Hart, but I forgot the kid's name.
Josh Howard.
That's him, Josh Howard. Howard. When he was running with those guys, right? The idea was, if we could just keep it close, I'll close it out. I got you covered. And he was able to do that. And you got a lot of great players who can do that. Curry can do that. Jason Tatum can do that. Luka can do that. If you can keep it close, I'll close it out. The problem with Brooklyn is that they have a lot of guys who can keep the game close. Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. They got a lot and Cam Thomas, who still I'm still having a difficult time with him not being in the rotation. I thought that they were on to something when he actually got into the rotation. I thought they were on to something with that. But when you see this team, they have a bunch of guys that are like that can keep the game close. But that guy who can give it to me and I'll take it from here the last 4 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the game. All right, I got us covered. They don't have that guy. And because they don't have that guy, I think that when you run up on a team later on in the playoffs, you can be competitive, no question about that. But you're going to run into a team that has what you had, where they have a bunch of guys who can keep it close. But then they also got a guy who can push it over the top, and you don't. And I think that's going to be the difference with the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be difficult for them. I think three of their next 7 games are against playoff teams. So I think it's going to be difficult for them to hold off the Miami Heat. Yeah. But they got a shot.
Yeah, they do. The Hawks are 2.5 behind them. I don't know if they can catch them.
Yep.
Let me grab a couple of these guys in here.
Yep.
KB, what's up, man?
What up?
Hey, Al, how you doing?
What's going on, brother?
Go, James, you here?
What's good?
What up?
What up, man?
What up?
Yep.
So, real quick though, y'all. Let me answer this super chat right here.
Yep.
So, Sports PSP says, who do you got? Prime Hakeem or Kareem?
Jabbar.
Kareem.
Boy, I think that's
Never watched Prime Kareem, so I can't say.
Well, just so you know, I caught Jabbar on the other side of his prime. He was still in it, but he was on the other side of his prime, and he was still fantastic. So
you got YouTube, bro. You can watch him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a gap, but I'd say Kareem as well.
He was 30 and 15 for 8 years. So
Yeah, you got the most unstoppable shot in basketball too.
And on top of that, he was the best rim protector in the game. Just like Olajuwon, he was the best rim protector in
Yeah,
the
like
game.
it's not that. It's not. Oh, sorry.
Arguably the best rebounder in the game. So actually, he was the best rebounder in the game. The best rebounder in the game, the best rim protector in the game. Offensively, he was just impossible. This was during the time in his prime where the players voted for league MVP. And his team hadn't made the playoffs, and they still voted him as the league MVP. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of how awesome Jabbar was.
All right, I pulled y'all up. Y'all got some questions for Chill?
up?
You got some ruckus? Or what's the deal? What's going on? How y'all feeling today?
Yeah, man. You want to go first, or
I'll let you go first.
all right, thanks, man.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the Miami Heat. I don't know why.
That's
like
what I was going to
everyone's
talk about too, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why everyone's so like fixated on the Miami Heat. The Miami, they're such a tough out, right? But like, I'm looking at this team outside of Jimmy Butler, Bam
agree.
Adebayo, and Tyler Herro, and Eric Spoelstra as their coach. The rest of the roster isn't impressive at all.
Hey,
like, yeah, go ahead.
I agree. I think when it comes down to Miami, you know, you've got Jimmy Butler. I'm pretty confident he'll perform well. I'm presuming they'll be the 6th seed and they'll face either Milwaukee, Boston, or Philly, right? And just so we're clear, I think Jimmy should play well. But outside of him, you're kind of asking, you know, other guys to do things that we really haven't seen. You're kind of asking Tyler Herro to be that kind of a second or third option that can consistently shoot the ball and even provide some on-ball creation at times as well. And he hasn't really done that in the playoffs since his rookie year. You're asking Bam Adebayo to be much more aggressive than he ever has in the playoffs as well as being that defensive anchor. And then like in terms of the point guard spot, I mean, what are you going to ask for out of Gabe Vincent and Kyle Lowry? Are you going to run Herro at the point guard? I think like guys like Max Strus and Victor Oladipo are also going to be in the rotation. They haven't really been that great from three this year. So I think you're just asking a lot of guys on that team to step up, and I'm not moved by Miami at all. I would say that a team like maybe Cleveland is more of a tougher out.
KB, where were you going? Where were you going with that, KB?
Yeah, I completely agree with what P5 said. I mean,
Okay.
Miami, like I'm looking at the roster, half the roster is undrafted guys. I mean, and sure, some of them do pan out, but how long is this sustainable where you could just fill up your roster with undrafted guys? Like, it's just, again, like I said, Jimmy, Bam, and Herro, outside of those three, I don't believe in Duncan Robinson. Kevin Love is washed up. And then Kyle Lowry's washed too. Victor Oladipo hasn't gone to Indiana when he was in Indiana, he was an all-star. So, like, I don't see where all this hype are in Miami or where this phrase.
Well, first of all, if you look at their roster, it's the same roster from last year. And Tyler Herro was hurt in the playoffs, which would explain why he didn't play. Same thing with Victor Oladipo. He was also hurt. And they basically took Boston to 7 games. And with that being said, now these guys are back healthy. And a lot of this stuff is by committee. So if you're talking about rosters, so for example, the Boston Celtics, now with Derek White, with Grant Williams, with Muscala, who else comes off their bench? Does the Boston Celtic roster, in terms of their second unit, I mean, they do a lot of their stuff by committee as well. Don't get me wrong. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those guys are integral to what they're doing. But who else do you trust on that roster to, one, get you buckets? Number 2, to consistently get you buckets. When I think about Tyler Herro, you're asking Tyler Herro to do that. Of course you're asking him to do that. And the reason why you're asking him to do that, because he's one of the better players. Same thing with Bam. Bam's production has actually gone up this year. And I expect Bam to be better in the playoffs than he was last year. I expect Bam to be more productive this year. Why? Because he's more invested in his offense this season than he was last year. And I think that they run more offense through him. He's become more aggressive this season than he was last year. Now, as far as Kyle Lowry and as far as Gabe Vincent, I think that they're good enough that they could just sustain it. They don't have to do anything that's unprecedented. Kyle Lowry doesn't have to be Kyle Lowry from Toronto. Kyle Lowry doesn't have to be 18-9. He doesn't have to be any of those things. Kyle Lowry just has to be solid, take care of the basketball, make open shots when they're available, not just make open shots when they're available, keep his team level. And I think that you guys are undervaluing not just Victor Oladipo, but I think you guys are undervaluing Duncan Robinson as a pro. I think you undervaluing Duncan Robinson as a pro because we've seen plenty of times.
Hey, Duncan Robinson was crucial on that run to the finals.
We've seen guys who they haven't played in a while, And then as a pro, they come back and get in the lineup, and the next thing you know, it's like, damn, where he been? He's awesome. And I think Duncan Robinson could very well be one of those guys because, again, he's primarily a long ball shooter, which is what they need. And if you could get a guy that can get a stretch, especially in the first round where he can just stretch the defense and get going, next thing you know, you're onto something. So I think you guys are undervaluing this Miami Heat team. Don't get me wrong. I don't have them back in the NBA or in the Eastern Conference Championship, but I do think that they're going to be a tougher out than what you guys think.
Describe tough out to me. What do you think that? Because do you have Miami beating one of those top 3 teams in the first?
So let's say they end up with the 7th seed and they got to see Boston in round 1. I think it's a 6-7 game dogfight.
Okay, they can win that for sure.
I don't think Boston mops them. I don't think Boston walks past them. I think it's a 6-7 game dogfight where every game we're talking about it's a 1 or 2 possession game coming down to the end. I think each one of those games is that.
I gotta be in a 5 or 6 because I understand what you're saying because you want to value some of these players that are a bit more that are veterans, right? Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Duncan Robinson, guys like that. But what I'm basing my argument off of, and gentlemen that's bottom of me as well, is that this season there hasn't been that production from this team that I'm looking for. The 3-point shooting has not been there from guys like Max Strus, who you expect to be a better version than Duncan Robinson. Victor Oladipo hasn't stretched out the floor. Kyle Lowry, even getting open shots, hasn't been great. And he's certainly regressed defensively. Gabe Vincent, I don't have much faith in Gabe Vincent to kind of handle an offense. So it's going to be a lot of hero running the point guard, like I said. And you bring up a guy like Duncan Robinson, who I could see him going on a stretch where he's shooting threes left and right and hitting them right. But the problem with Duncan Robinson is that he is a clear weakness on defense. He doesn't move laterally at all. He's a bad NBA athlete, I'll say that. Doesn't use his hands. Doesn't have that big of a body. So outside of shooting like 2 or 3 threes a game, or maybe 4 or 5 if he gets hot, I don't see much of any value in playing Duncan Robinson. And that's me excluding his contract. I'm just talking about the player Duncan Robinson here. Right. And I feel like you've got other better options, but even those better options have underachieved and have underperformed this year. Like Max Strus, Oladipo.
Now remember, last season, Strus had a stretch where I think he went 0 for 16. And this is their starting 2 guard. He went like 0 for 16 in like 2 or 3 games combined. They still went to the Eastern Conference Championship. And the reason why they went to the Eastern Conference Championship, because they got other production from other people, plus defensively. Now, you just mentioned Duncan Robinson. Now, that's where Spo comes in as a coach, where he knows when to use him, how to use him, and how long to use him. And that's where things could get tricky with other coaches, because I think Spo's ability to coach, I think he does a really good job. Spo does a really good job in not just manipulating lineups, but I think he does a really good job at adjustments and putting Duncan Robinson in situations where he could be successful, particularly in the playoffs. I think that's going to work.
Tell me what you think those situations are.
Well, so for example, them being in let's say they're down in the series 2-1, and now Duncan Robinson comes in, and now they've lacked off, and they're not really prepared for him, and he could come in and give them 5-10 minutes of really good minutes, which could give them some momentum. Not only give them some momentum offensively, but as I know, playing basketball, if you get it going offensively, that'll turn your defense up. And Miami's team is predicated on defense. Last season, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. So to get a guy like Duncan Robinson to come off the bench 5-10 minutes and give them a spark, crack 2 or 3 threes, that'll turn up their offense, which in turn will turn up their defense. So I think that Spo could use him in specific situations as the specialist that he is, and he could be productive for them.
Now that's a good argument. I can understand you with that. Eric Spoelstra just being able to outcoach like Joe Mazzulla, Doc Rivers, or Mike Budenholzer, because I think he absolutely can. So if you want to go that route, and maybe some other guys on the team like overperform, I don't want to say overperform, but like I guess overperform compared to how they played in the regular season, I can get with that. I just don't have them going far, but I could see them.
I don't either. I don't either. Again, I want to make sure that we're clear that we're talking about a team they're in the bottom half of the playoffs. I just think that they're going to be difficult to bounce. That's all. I don't have them in the semifinals. I don't have them in the conference finals. I don't think that they're that good. I just think that they're not going out. They're not just going out. I think they're going out kicking the screen.
Okay.
P5. Hold on 1 second, brother. Yo, Leaf.
What's up?
Hey, what's the ruckus?
The ruckus is this.
I
And
mean,
I'm gonna play it.
You had hit me up earlier on the
I
morning
did.
show.
I should have hit you up Sunday because we
what's
was
the
on that
pick?
show. But the ruckus is this. I'm gonna play this real quick.
It makes you closer to perfection, only except this dude, with all of the stuff that he had to go through, how many times he could have folded, not only folded, how many times he came back better, just like you. How many times you could have folded when you were in the playoffs and you didn't do what you needed to do. You could have folded, only except you came back better, even more dominant, and basically shook the league. There's a generation of kids that don't know the NBA Finals without LeBron James. There are teams that are put together, like when you were running around, that were put together to stop you and you only. That's the same thing that's going on with James.
Leaf, what is this? What am I listening to? What are you showing?
Nah.
What are you showing us?
I need to know what teams was put together other than the KD Warriors to stop LeBron James.
What other teams need to be? What other teams need to be?
No, because you said it. I just need
Once
to know.
again, what other teams need to be? What other teams need to be?
teams.
What other teams need to be? They were the world champs. And the reason why they were the world champs is because they were put together to drop the world champs. What other teams need to be?
You said that. I just
Once
said.
again, answer the question. Answer the question. What other teams need to be?
Question.
I just told you.
Teams?
What other teams need to be, Leaf?
What other team? What you mean? What other teams need to be? What other? You said it was.
So let me make sure I'm getting this correct. Mm-hmm.
You said there was teams that was put together to stop LeBron. To stop LeBron James. Other than the KD Warriors, what teams were they? Name them teams.
There doesn't need to be any other teams. There's the Golden State Warriors. That's it.
Hey, Leaf, did he say throughout his career though? I don't think I heard that in that quote.
And not even throughout it. So here's the story. So you have the Golden State Warriors. Let me make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. You got the Golden State Warriors.
KD Warriors.
LeBron. You got not the KD Warriors. You got the Golden State Warriors. You got the Golden State Warriors who lose to the Miami Heat in 2016, 2017. Right? So in the process of them losing to the Miami Heat in the 2015, 2016 season.
Cavs.
Quiet and pay attention, goofball. Now, once again, so you got the Cleveland Cavaliers who beat them in 2015, 2016. Right? So in the process of them beating them, the Golden State Warriors drop the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, we are the gatekeepers of the Western Conference. So in order for you to get to them, you got to get past us. You can't get to James and the Cleveland Cavaliers until you get past us. Here's the difference. We can't beat him without you. You can't beat them without us. So we got to get together and we can beat them. So there you have it.
That's one team. Okay. I want to. Where's the all?
What are you here for, Lee? What are you here for, Lee? Because I swear, man, this dude is a goofball, yo. Hey, Ox, yo, this dude is a goofball, man. I swear, this dude comes on here. He comes on here super emotional. He doesn't come on here with any real legit logic. He just comes in here to stir up stuff. He never talks basketball. All he is emotional, and I'm so sick of this dude, right? I'm listening to this was just yet. A prime example would be just yesterday, and I saw it yesterday on the panel. Yo, when I see you, OG, you're a corpse. So tell everybody why I'm a corpse. Go ahead.
Come on, Leaf, run it. You got to run it.
What did I lie about?
You told Shaq last Thursday there were teams, TEAMS, plural, built to stop LeBron James, and you only gave me one team. You lied.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this. The teams, plural. So it's only one team. So Atlanta wasn't put together to beat. So Atlanta wasn't put together. That Atlanta team that won 62 games, they weren't put together to beat the Cavs.
No.
So that Atlanta. So what was that Atlanta team put together to do? That Boston team in the Eastern Conference, they weren't put together to beat the Cavs.
No.
So what were they put together to do?
They wasn't put together to beat LeBron.
So that Toronto. So that Toronto team that won 50. Oh, so when they won 59, let me make sure I'm understanding this. So that Toronto team, and when they won 59 games, right, and they got swept out of the playoffs. So if James comes back, they trade for Kawhi Leonard. What are they trading for Kawhi Leonard for, sir?
They traded for Kawhi Leonard. LeBron had already left.
So
he went to the West. He went to the West.
He did go to the West. So and what did they make that? Why did they make that trade though?
They made the trade. They made the trade just to make it, bro. Like he went to the
No,
West. He already went to the West. No. LeBron already went to the West before Kawhi got there. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No. Once again,
don't do
they
that.
made that trade to push them over the top, to get past the Cavs. James
Not
left.
over LeBron. LeBron was already in the West.
James left. But they did that in anticipation for James being there.
Okay,
but he already left.
Let's stick to the teams that was supposed to be over LeBron.
Let's stick to that. Once again,
LeBron went to the Lakers like on his own. He went to the Lakers on his own. They didn't have AD there. They didn't have all the pieces that they got afterwards. LeBron went to the Lakers on his own. He basically X'd himself out of anything Eastern Conference.
Right.
Everything else because he wasn't going to beat the Warriors in his first year by himself, going to the Lakers. We all knew that. So give me again. What
I just told you.
teams?
I just told you.
Eliminated all the teams.
No, you didn't. All you just said was no, and I gave you. All you just said was no. That's what you said.
You gave me Toronto, Atlanta, and Boston. You serious?
All this dude doing is yelling. That's all he doing. Once again, he said. I said Atlanta. When they put that Atlanta team together, that Atlanta team was put together. Then you told me Boston. So who was Boston put together to beat, sir? Tell everybody here. So
they wasn't put together to beat LeBron James. They got the picks from the Nets. What are you talking about?
So who were they put together?
They was not put together to beat LeBron.
So they were not. What were they put together to do then?
I don't know what they was put together to do. But
they just want. So you don't know what they. So you know that.
So you weren't supposed to beat LeBron for a championship.
So they weren't. So they weren't put together to beat LeBron James. Okay, they weren't put together. But so you don't. So you don't know.
The Pacers was put together to beat LeBron. They wasn't.
You don't know. So you don't know what they were put together to do. But you know that they weren't put together to beat the.
But how did you know they was put together to beat Boston? They wasn't.
Actually, I do. You know why I do? The reason why I know that they do because they was in the NBA Finals 4 straight years. That's why.
They were in the conference finals.
They were in the NBA finals. They were in. If I'm not mistaken, were the Cleveland Cavaliers not in the NBA finals?
The Cavs were in the finals 4 straight years. Yeah.
With LeBron James. So the Boston Celtics.
I thought you was talking about Boston. Nah, disregard. Go ahead.
So the Boston Celtics, when they were drafting, they weren't put together just to compete. We got to get past this guy. The Atlanta Hawks. We got to get past this guy. When Brooklyn made all of those trades. I can't believe they did that. When your Brooklyn say, I'm not done. Be quiet. You're in my house. Pay attention. So again, this Brooklyn Nets team, when they traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, they were put together to beat LeBron James and the Miami Heat.
That's true. That
was it. Boom. No, you're not giving me 2. Okay, so if you're going to give me 2, that's plural. That's teams.
That's teams. That's 2 teams.
So we're done. So the conversation's done. So we're done.
But you made it seem
the dude in the nice hat wants to say something. The dude in the hat wants to say something. Yeah, he wants to say
something. Hold up.
So we're done.
It's about Miami real quick, though. But Miami, I have to say, though, Tyler Herro, especially when he plays the Knicks, he comes out in the fourth quarter. Like last game, he got 15 points in the fourth quarter. So he's a very good X factor. But I wanted to talk to
you said comes out in the fourth quarter, like he doesn't play in the fourth quarter, or he comes out and does work.
He balls in the fourth quarter, like
okay.
15
I'm
points
with you.
in the fourth quarter against. You know what I'm saying? He's really good. But my point is
for
you. Last time we was on the show, you talked about Westbrook and LeBron being a unique, in a unique category. But what I also looked into more, if LeBron win one more ring, that means he got 5 rings. He's already the scoring title champion, and he would have helped the Lakers to surpass Boston all-time winning franchise. Isn't that correct? 17 over 16. So wouldn't that also help?
I think it's 18. That would be 18, right?
Or that would 17? Be 18. Yeah, 18.
Would it be 18? I think it would
18.
be 18.
It would be 18. Yeah, I'm looking at it right
that's
now.
That's what I'm saying. 18. Wouldn't that supersede the legacy of Boston, which is also to help out LeBron's case as far as the Lakers? You see what I'm saying? Now
I don't know what you mean.
Wait, what happened?
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I'm
understanding. Now he even has more backing because think about that. The championships supersede the Boston Celtics. Now they're the most winningest franchise, and he did it underneath Kobe, Magic, who everybody seems to like. So for me, it's going to be harder in the future for people, if he does do this, to stop talking about LeBron. I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan, but I respect his game. Because of what you said and what I've been listening to, I respect him. I'm not going to hate on him, but I respect him. Because at the same time, if he does it, come on, that's unheard of. Now go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything to say to that. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, and just one more thing before I go. I just wanted to say, Dewan Wagner, I just wanted to say that was a real good dude. I met him, and I met him recently, as a matter of fact. And I just wanted to know if you remember him from back in the day with playing with John Calipari in the NIT. Yep, Cavs first round 6th pick in 02. Yeah. Same time with Yao Min. That was a really good dude. I just wanted to let you know about some Jersey natives.
His son is nice too, by the way.
Yeah, see,
yeah, his son is nice too. His son is nice. He got some growing up to do. His son got some growing up to do.
I just wanted you to know about that Lakers point, because Ticket and all of them, like you said, if he gets that, it's a wrap. There's nothing you can say about LeBron.
He's a very good high school player too.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So you guys be all right. Thank you for having me on, Big Bob. Like the
remember what I told you.
Go, baby.
As long as you come on here, long as you come on here, I told you got to wear that hat. You can't come on here. You got to have that hat.
Cowboy Brian.
I follow your rules and I don't disrespect you.
You got to have that hat on.
Because you gave me love.
Yeah, you got to have that hat on. Come through here. Absolutely.
Cowboy Brian.
Yo, mic check. Y'all can hear me?
Sturdy, what up?
Yep.
Yeah, salute everybody. I only got 2 questions.
Come on.
Yeah, I only got 2 questions. The first question for Chill, like, because last panel, they was going back and forth about Doc Rivers and Spo, which was a clear decision in my point. But my question to you, Chill, my first question is, in your opinion, who are the top 5 coaches in the league right now?
Today, the top 5 coaches.
Mike Brown.
I think in no particular. Well, the 5 best in no particular order. I think Spo. I think Kerr. I think Nick Nurse. Let's see.
Popovich.
I thought Nate McMillan was
Pop retired.
No, I think Pop is over.
Pop retired for real?
No, he's still on the.
No, he retired. He retired this year, and he going to Hall of Fame.
So he's retiring. He's retiring this year. Is he?
Yeah, he retired this year. Yeah, he retired this year.
Retiring after the season?
I don't think Pop is a top 5 coach in today's game. I think Pop's still awesome, but I don't think he's a top 5 coach in today's game. So Nick Nurse, Spo, just this season alone, Nick Nurse, Spo,
said Steve Kerr.
I thought Nate McMillan was really good. He got ran out of Atlanta. He's a damn good coach, man. I thought he did a damn good job with that Atlanta team. They ran him off.
Well, if you're basing it off this season, can you say Mike Brown?
You could, if you're basing it off this season, you could say Mike Brown. But the coach of Monty Williams, I think he's a top 5 coach in today's game too.
All right, you got one more, Chill.
Mike Brown, Steve Kerr, not Mike Brown, I'm sorry. Monty Williams, Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, Nick Nurse. It would have been Udoka, but he got ran out of there because he was good too.
Bickerstaff?
Not yet, but I think Bickerstaff is close. I do. I don't think Bickerstaff is a top 5 coach, but I think he's close.
What about Budenholzer?
I think that Budenholzer, I think he gets bailed out a lot. I think that he's a product of Giannis and that system. Because when he run up on coaches that have to that X and O him, and he can't just give Giannis the ball or give Drew Holiday the ball, he struggles. He struggles to adjust. I don't know if Budenholzer is a top 5 coach in the game. No, I don't think so.
What about the coach from Memphis?
Taylor Jenkins?
Yeah. I think he does. I think he's done a good job, but I don't think he's better than Nurse. I think if Nick Nurse was in Memphis, I think they would be rolling. I think they could be just as good, if not better, if Nick Nurse was on that crew. I think if Spo was down there, or Steve Kerr, or Mike Brown, or Monty Williams, I think that they would be just as good, if not better.
Chill, let me help you. Chill, let me help you out. No love for Mike Malone.
I think they underachieve in Denver, to be honest with you. I think they should be.
Chill.
Not this season. Not this season. I'm talking about overall. I think that they could be better than what they are. I do, and I think that. And Mike Malone is a damn good coach.
You going about overall? You going about this season? Because I don't see how the 2 best coaches with the 2 best records in the league don't get any consideration, and one of them proven to be a champion coach. And not only that, like you mentioned the team before, that man had a 60-win team without a legit superstar in the Atlanta Hawks. He got that on his resume.
So
and Coach Bud. So what I'm saying is, and we take out for account this year, that man is 10-6 when Giannis don't play. The Bucks have a high 11-6, my bad, and even a higher winning percentage when Chris Middleton didn't play. So that you telling me two of your best players were in and out of the lineup, and you still not only maintain the number one seed in the league, but also you had over a 75% winning percentage with those guys out.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, absolutely.
Wait,
I can give it
that's
that.
Mike Malone you talking about?
Yeah. No, he's talking about He is that is
and to Mike Malone, we just going about this year, number one seed in the West.
Yeah.
The most consistent team in the West, let's be honest. And on top of that, look at the last 3 seasons. Injuries himself, he still made the playoffs as the 6th seed and as the 3rd seed 2 years ago with all those injuries. So he has no, and to be able to do that, Chill, in the West without no elite defensive players, that tells you something.
I don't want to give him too much credit. He did have the best play. He did have arguably the best player in the game. So he had a top 3 player in the game, and he also.
What about Willie Green?
He had one of the better offenses in the game. So I don't want to give Mike Malone too much credit, and the fact that he now has his crew back, I don't want to give him too much credit, but I don't want to take credit away from him as being a good coach. I don't want to do that. But I don't want to go over the top with Mike Malone because.
So I think a better question is
both him and the coach from Milwaukee. The problem with Mike Budenholzer, I saw him in Atlanta, and he did a damn good job with that Atlanta team. Cleveland's the only team that they lost to. They handled everybody else, including the Western Conference. The Western Conference. I think they was like 14 or 15 games over 500 against the Western Conference. So they handled everybody else. With that being said, I've seen him. Man, they did have 4 All-Stars that season, though. Now with that being, and I think that had a lot to do with him because they had one of the better defenses in the game. But with that being said, I've seen him with Giannis, where he puts Giannis on the floor, how he operates that offense. I think Giannis would be more suited if he took Giannis off the ball in the half court. In transition, I don't have a problem with that. I have no problem with that. But when they're in the half court, he puts Giannis on the ball a lot. And I think he takes away from a lot of their offense. Now, I don't mean Giannis takes away. I think that offense could move a little bit more if they did that. If he took them off the basketball, I think it would be a little bit better. But I think that the other coaches, again, Nick Nurse, Spo, Steve Kerr, I think I would put those guys ahead of him.
And last question that we can spread the wealth. Because I thought they was gonna get into it on the panel last time, but they really get into it. What do you look for when you evaluate a coach? When you compare these coaches, is it results? Is it adjustments? Is it wins? What is it?
Well, the results are at the bottom of the list because the results are everything that you do. The results are how your rotations are, how you adjust, how you handle your players, how you manage your players. All of this stuff ties into how your team performs. And if your team isn't performing by how you rotating your guys, if you got a 6th man or if you got an 8th man, how are you using that guy? How are you using your star player? How are you using your 3rd best player, right? How are you using all of these guys? And not only how you're using them, how do you handle pressure? So when your team when a team goes on a run, they go on a 10, 11, 12-0 run against your team. Do you, like Phil Jackson, do you go, yo, I'm going to let these dudes work it out? Or do you bail them out? Because a good coach will let his team work it out, which is going to build not just team chemistry, but team camaraderie, as opposed to every time a team goes on a run, you bail them out. Or when a team goes on a 6-0 run, you can recognize that my team doesn't have it together. Let me get these dudes over here and let me calm them down, or let me light a fire up under them. So when I think, those are all of the things that I think about when I think about a great coach. And Spo comes to mind. Steve Kerr comes to mind. Steve Kerr called a timeout in the first 2 minutes because he doesn't like what he sees. Mm-hmm. And guys like that, I value stuff like that.
Yeah. How about Tyronn Lue?
Tyronn Lue in that conversation too. Yes, he is.
Hey, just like
Tyronn Lue is the top 5. I forgot.
What about Willie Green? What about Willie Green?
Not yet. He's exactly that. Green. He ain't ready yet. Not yet. We can have a conversation about him in a little while. Not yet. Mm-mm.
I think the brother just mentioned earlier. I think Taylor Jenkins need consideration. I think Bud need consideration. I think Mike Malone need consideration. And like to your point, Chill, when Pop is notorious for this. I remember on national television, it was going against the Heat. I think it was in 2013 or 2014, where in the first 3 minutes, he didn't like what his starters were doing. He benched the entire starting 5 and then put in the bench, and then they did better. And so to your point, the thing is, I see like everyone looks at evaluates coaching different ways, and for you to provide that clarification, I appreciate it. I want to keep spreading the wealth with y'all. Yo, get the likes up, yo. I'm getting sick of the chat. Get the likes up. We putting up a great show tonight. All right. Y'all have a great night, yo. And like, of course, like the beam. Of course, like the beam.
30.
Like the beam.
I catch you, bro.
Appreciate you. Hey,
Leaf, I'm gonna get you next time, Leaf. I promise.
All right, yeah, we're gonna get at it.
Hey, so I want to bring something up real quick because we definitely can't finish the show without showing big love to Dwyane Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, and Pau Gasol. You know, knowing that they're about to make the Hall of Fame. You know, real quick, because Chill, I'm gonna ask you, you know, how you feel about those players in their career. But before I do that, I would like to go around. We'll start. Hey, D. Reed, you there?
Yo. You hear me?
Yeah, okay. Making sure you was there. I was about to have to swap you
here.
out. But okay. So look, so what we're about to do right now is about to start bench cut. Wade, Dirk, Gasol. How you gonna do it, Leaf?
I'm gonna start Dirk. I got a bench Wade.
Okay.
I like the Wade's two-way play, but I think Dirk cleared for me, and then I got a bench Pau Gasol.
So cut now, you gotta cut Gasol.
I gotta cut Pau Gasol. Yeah.
Start Dirk, bench Wade, cut. Hey, chat, y'all tap in too. We want to know how y'all feel about it. D. Reed, what you gonna do? Who you gonna start bench and cut?
I'll swap D Wade with Dirk. I'll start D Wade, bench Dirk, and cut Gasol.
Okay.
I feel like my bad.
No, go ahead. You can elaborate a little bit. It's all good.
No, I just feel like his lack of shooting that's made up by what he brings on the defensive end for me personally. Especially when we talking about, you know what I'm saying, number one option on the team. I feel like him being way better defensively, that's what gives him the edge for me over Dirk.
Yeah. Tim, man, how you see it?
Salute everybody. So me, I would start Dirk, I would bench Wade, and I would cut Pau.
Okay. KB?
Yeah, start Wade, bench Dirk, cut Pau.
It's consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's consensus. Yep.
So you start Dirk, cut bench Wade.
Now I do have a bit of a gripe with Dirk. I think Dirk could have been a double-figure rebound guy. And if Bird was a double-figure rebound guy, why Dirk couldn't have been a double-figure rebound guy still baffles me. As big as he was, the transition player that he was, he could have been a better defender. On the offensive end, as a scorer only, because Dirk wasn't a great offensive player. He was a great scorer. He was not a great offensive player. But as a scorer, he's one of the best ever. And because of that, I think that alone, and what he had done with taking his team deep into the playoffs more than once, taking his team deep into the playoffs with B and C guys, not just with B and C guys, taking them to the NBA Finals. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they came up short the first time, but taking his team deep into the playoffs. I mean, they've been to the Western Conference Championship more than once, and they have been to the NBA Finals more than once with B and C guys. I think that's the separator as good as Dwyane Wade was as a defender. I mean, he did have Shaq, and Shaq wasn't over when Wade got him. I mean, Shaq was still a first-team All-NBA performer.
Right.
Where would you rank this among all time, like out of every NBA Hall of Fame class, or basketball Hall of Fame class? Where would you rank this one?
It wasn't better than 2020 with Bryant and KG and Duncan. It wasn't better than that one. It wasn't better than when Jordan went in with it wasn't better when Jordan went in. It wasn't better when
you go ahead and say the last five, OG. The last five class. Yeah,
that's what I was just thinking when because I'm going back to the like last year with Weber, and I mean I don't think that this this one is awesome. This one is awesome, but I don't think that it's up there with the all-time great ones. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, ChillTown, I got a question. 05, 06 D Wade versus 08, 09 Kobe Bryant. Who you got?
can you really compare that? Look at the teams though. That's the first thing I look at is the teammates. 05, 06, and 08,
I'm
09.
like, but just player to player, I guess. I mean,
I'm talking about like player versus player.
You can make an argument for 05, 06 Wade, but I've mentioned this in the past. I equate Wade and Bryant to Drex and Jordan. And anybody not named Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler kicked their ass. But at no point did I ever think Clyde Drexler was better than Jordan. And as good as Dwayne Wade was, he wasn't 24 good. He wasn't.
What
And
about
he was awesome. He wasn't.
about
He wasn't
what,
24 good. But
I was actually watching some dudes with Jordan and Dominique. They had some pretty good dudes together in the regular season, man. Like Dominique held his own. I will say that Dominique held his own against Jordan.
Who you think was chasing Jay all them years when Jay was averaging 35 and 37? Dominique was right behind him.
Dominique was because Dominique had a scoring title. Yeah.
That was him. He was right behind for years.
Dominique retired, top 8 in scoring, right? Top 7?
Maybe 7 dudes in the history of the game scored more points than Dominique when he retired. And he was not a first ballot Hall of Famer, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
And he wasn't on the 50 greats. And he wasn't on the 50 greats team.
To me. Incredible.
But I think they put Shaq at the time, and I think that was the only great with that list. And even Shaq said he had called him. He's like, yeah, hey man, I'm sorry, whatever. And because Shaq had a story about it, but Dominique was hard pressed about that because that was probably the only thing wrong with that list. Yeah,
as he should have been. As he should have been.
Shit. Real quick. We had this super chat from a while back. Alan R.
Hey Bobby, I'm gonna see myself out, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all.
All right, Lee, for sure. Alan R said, I think Steph could replace Wilt or Bird, to be honest. That's in your top 10 list you gotta be talking about.
No.
Yeah, I can't see that happening.
And I understand Steph as a player, and I've mentioned this in the past, I still stand on it. Every major record in NBA history has Wilt's name either attached to it as of right now, or it was attached to it. So the all-time leading scorer in the regular season, points per game, that's Jordan. Second, that's Wilt. Wilt retired 50 years ago. The all-time leading rebounder in NBA history, that's Chamberlain. The all-time leading rebounder per game, that's Chamberlain. 15 for 15 in a game, that's Chamberlain. 16 for 16 in a game, that's Chamberlain. 17 for 17 in a game, that's Chamberlain. The reason why you got to stand behind the free throw line to shoot free throws is because Wilt could dunk the ball from the free throw line without running. So they changed the rules for Chamberlain. And they changed the rules to hamper Chamberlain. And this is a guy who actually flourished with them changing the rules. His team's the only team to beat the Celtics in the 60s. No other team did that. He's on a team that won 33 straight games. Not only did they win 33 straight games, they won the NBA championship, and he was the finals MVP. Well, he didn't really average that many points. That's because he changed his game. To be that guy.
So that sounds so crazy. You saying that, OG, that he could dunk from the free throw line without jumping, that I almost can't believe it. Like that's
what I want you to imagine is I want you to imagine being on the floor and never seeing that, and then automatically just one day seeing a dude. And by the way, he didn't do it like a whole bunch of people. He did it like a broad jump where he took one step back and jumped over the free throw line and dunked the ball. The rules committee was like, hell no, you can't do that. Nuh-uh. That's not going to work. No way can you do that. So Chamberlain was a complete anomaly from everybody else. Like I said, every major record in NBA history has his name on it. And the way he won, it was in dramatic fashion. Everything, it was in dramatic fashion. So Chamberlain doesn't come out. Bird, on the other hand, Bird had a 5-year peak where he went 27, 10, and 7. Now, just to you guys that are here today, who in the NBA is 27, 10, and 7? Just this season, who is 27, 10, and 7? Who that?
Jokic.
One more time.
Like Jokic is around that, but Jokic got a triple double. 27.
So maybe Jokic. So the closest thing is Jokic, right? So imagine Jokic doing what he's doing. Imagine him doing that for 5 straight years, and in the process of him doing that for 5 straight years, winning the league MVP 3 of them years, and winning the NBA championship 2 of them 3 years, and being the Finals MVP. That's his peak. And by the way, after that, he had a season. He had a season after he won the league MVP in '86, where everybody thought that it couldn't get better. In '88, he went 30, 10, and 7, and he went 50, 40, 90 that year. And this is a dude with a bad back. Like he was on his way he was on the other side of being who Bird was. It wasn't like in 88 you got Bird, the 84 Bird or the 83 Bird. You got the other version of Bird who was retired 4 more years after that. So Bird was that guy right from the beginning when he showed up. First team All-NBA as a rook. This is a team that won 24 games the year before he got on the crew. He gets on the crew. They win 61 games and then the East Finals. And the next year, they win the NBA championship. Don't get me wrong. Cedric Maxwell ultimately was the NBA Finals MVP. And him and Bird basically played almost head-to-head. But from the next, we're talking about it from 1980 to 1989. 8 of the 9 years, Larry Bird finished in the top 3 in league MVP votes. 7 of them 9 years, he finished 1 or 2. So when you're talking about a guy being that dude from the door and staying that dude, it's difficult to take Bird out the top 10, man. That's why when I talk about these guys and I talk about them in my top 10, the logic that I give you, one of the things that I talk about is how awesome were you and how long were you awesome?
Yeah. Real quick, more context matters. What's up with y'all? How y'all doing?
What's happening? Salute, like the beam. Salute to you, Chill. That was a great interview, man. I didn't know that was big cuz right there, but man, salute to you, my man. Salute to you.
What's up, Mar? How you doing?
Chill. You and Shaq do look similar though. Like now that I saw it,
you know how they say we all look alike.
Yo, this is a clown.
Don't put that on me.
You know.
Don't put that on me.
Nah, I'm chilling. I'm just jumping. I'm messing with y'all. But real quick, y'all. Happy to have y'all up here. Let me just run through some of these super chats. You know, hey, as y'all know, the chat runs the show, so we cannot neglect their super chats. So I know y'all probably got agendas y'all want to push or questions y'all want to ask, but you know, these super chats come first, fellas. So give me a couple minutes. Lonnie Williams tapped in and said, "What do you think Poole and Kumingas ceilings are? Can they start to take over the team next year? What you think about that, Chill?"
It's crazy that y'all, because I had the same question about Jordan Poole. Like, who is Jordan Poole in year 6? Is he because I had some people tell me that he's 25, 26 a game. I'm thinking, yo, that's Bradley Beal, that's Donovan Mitchell. Is he that good? Is Jordan Poole, is he Donovan Mitchell good? Is he Bradley Beal good? I'm not really sure that I can go that far to say that he's that good.
The difference is efficiency.
I thought those 2 players in particular would have took the biggest jump from the championship year to this year.
Hey, me too.
But,
hey, Tim, man, what you think about this, Tim, man? Tap in a little bit. Let's hear what you think about it.
Yeah, so actually, I follow Golden State a lot. I watch every single one of their games. I think Kuminga, if things end up well, he could be a modern-day Sean Marion. I think his game could very well much align with Sean if he focus more on rebounding. He's a great athlete. His jump shot is not broken. He can get a lot better at that. And about Jordan Poole, I think will be a 22, 23 points per game guy for the next years of his career. By a certain time, at what year is he at? Year 4? I think he's at year 4.
Yes, 4.
By year 4, year 5, that's just who you are, and that's who you're gonna be for the majority of your career. I don't expect him to jump from 22 to 28. Now he might
have that. He might have a season like that, but what you don't expect that to be the norm for him.
Exactly. I don't see that happening as a norm.
Right.
I think that he can become more efficient with a better selection of jump shots, etc.
Yeah.
But I don't see him getting above 23 points per game. I don't see that.
Even not on the Warriors. I think if you give him his own team, then we can have the conversation about him going up to that 26, 27 mark. 28 I think is a stretch, but 26, 27. But I agree. I think he needs to work on his shot selection, obviously. I think he needs to work on his ball handling. Stop carrying the ball. Stop double dribbling. Work on moves. That's not all this flashy move. Just get to your spot. I think he wants to. It's one of those things where it's like Kyrie, where you have so much. In his mind, he thinks he has so many tools that he just wants to throw out all the tools and just instead of just keeping it simple. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the issue that he's going through. I think he's going through a basketball identity crisis. You're watching Steph, you see him do all these amazing things, and you do have similar talents. You have similar styles, similar shooting approaches. You know what I mean? But I think he's kind of in basketball limbo with himself. And I think the punch didn't make it any better. he punched him into the in the shadow realm.
Yeah.
No.
So let me just next one thought from Sharky HD. Thoughts on offensive 6'3" and under guards losing value like Cam Thomas, Hardy. Besides superstars, 3-and-D and versatile bigs are more valued in the NBA today. What's your thoughts on that?
My fault. Let me just because I want to just.
rule.
My fault. I just want to chime in because Chill says something, and I've been talking. I actually was talking to my homeboys about this today. I think guys like Jaden Hardy and Cam Thomas are rotting on the bench. Rotting. Like the fact me and Chill are having the same face every time we see the lineups. So like, wait, why are you putting these lineups in? Why is he not getting? The thing about it is with young guys, you need to give them confidence and experience. They need to understand their roles in game time situations. How are they going to develop identity if they're rotting on the bench and just watching everything? I think there is value, but you need to play them the right way and find the pieces that could complement their lack of defense or their less attention to detail.
Or if you throw him, or if you put him in the lineup for 2 minutes, then yank him, and then put him in the lineup for a minute, and then he doesn't play the rest of the game. Like you screwing him up. You screwing them up when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, you're supposed to let them play through their mistakes. You're supposed to have a staff that's supposed to help develop them and help them fix those mistakes. But if you don't do that, how do you expect them to become versatile players?
Right.
Yeah, but from the opposite
He
point
was
of
playing
view,
so good. He was playing so good before they did all the trades and all that too. He dropped 40-point games, super efficient, high assists, low turnovers. Like he was balling before KD and Kyrie got up out of there. So that don't help neither. To go from balling to sitting on the bench.
Why is he not in the rotation? I still haven't gotten a satisfactory answer.
They can't. Those players can't complement superstars. So giving a guy like Cam Thomas minutes takes away from developing other guys who are actually going to play when you get the guy for your team. Like if you put Cam Thomas on the Lakers and LeBron and AD are healthy and you have Cam Thomas shooting 25 shots and getting 28 points, that's a horrible night. Like that ruins everyone else's game on the court.
Right.
So developing a guy like Cam Thomas, just for him to maybe play 18 minutes or 22 minutes and be your sixth man at best, developing him and giving him starting minutes instead of giving it to a guy like Cam Johnson on the Nets, who's a 3-and-D guy who can develop to be a 40% three-point shooter, who can get to a 12 to 15 point per game guy, who you know is going to play when you get a superstar.
Right.
That I would say that's more beneficial.
So if that's true, then why is he here? We got to get rid of him. We can get some value for him.
You can't do both.
But that's the question of the
He doesn't
organization.
have much trade value either.
But what is Brooklyn doing? They got about 6 or 7 wing players on the team. Like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they're getting a superstar next year. They don't know if a trade coming. The way Kyrie and KD situation went on, regardless of who fought it was, you're gonna have players around the league looking at that. Like I don't want to be a part of that.
That's a fact. Hey,
coaches in 4 years.
KB and Tim, man, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. I'm gonna move y'all out. Y'all know where we at every Wednesday. Y'all come check us out. Actually, as a matter of fact, y'all, we got a surprise coming up. Matter of fact, I'll tell y'all about that later. But appreciate y'all for stopping by, KB, Tim, man.
Yeah,
catch y'all
appreciate you guys.
Thanks, bro.
Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Yep.
I just want to ask one thing. Chill, did you get a chance to watch the McDonald's American, and what did you think about?
I watched a little bit of it. And I'm not a big high school guy. To be honest with you, I'm not a big high school guy. I'm not a big fan of high school basketball because I think that it's rotten to be
I'm with you.
I think it's rotten. But they got some players, man. I said I think Dwyane Wagner, his kid, I think he looked like he's something special, and I shouldn't be surprised by him because. I mean, he's a generational talent. Like my father played in the NBA, my grandfather played in the NBA. So I got the game from these dudes. So it shouldn't be anything. I shouldn't expect anything less from him. However, he's got some growing up to do because he's a kid, and that's what happens when you're a kid. You do dumb things, but I think that he's going to figure that out. I do think that James' kid. Nobody wants to talk about this, and I'm probably going to get some smoke for it. His kid needs to go to school. He's not ready.
He's not ready. He's not NBA ready.
I agree.
He's in college at least.
He needs to go to school. Good. He needs to go to school. He's not ready. This whole he might be a lottery pick. No, man.
No.
You throw him out there, you're gonna screw him up.
Yes.
Even if he was on a crew with James, He's not ready yet.
Not
No,
yet.
Yeah.
I think
I
he's
hope he come up here to Oregon. I'm trying to.
It was kids here better than him. When they lived in Ohio, it was somebody from Akron better than him.
right.
So
That's probably still going on right now. Why we even talking about it? That's probably
He a
They
good
played
player.
on
He
the
a good
same
little player
team.
developing. Like he good.
Yeah,
but
he's on his he's on his way. I think he.
Hold on. So you telling me when he was in Akron, it was dudes that were on his crew that was better than him.
Yes.
Which is why he had to get up out of there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now it's a difference between being ranked higher than somebody and somebody being
No,
better.
they were better. No, they were better. They were.
They played on the same
fundamentally
team.
better than him.
He was the
like,
star.
So he was better than him.
To me,
Imani
Bronny's
Bates,
jump
him,
was
Chris
my fault,
Livingston, Lil Bronny, and all them was on one team.
So he's
That's
the third
team
best
that was
player.
dominating the AAU.
Right.
Chris
Bronny,
Livingston
to me,
was a
his
beast.
jump has increased his last year. Like his senior year, we got to see the
Them jeans
refinery of
starting
his
to kick
game. You know what I mean? Like making the
Bryce
right
gonna be better than
reads.
Bronny.
Although he was a good passer,
I think
but
so too,
making the
D-Reed.
right reads. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I think he's refined, but like I agree with you, Chill. I think he needs to gain some weight, just to, so he can attack the paint more. But to me, I think his player comp, and y'all might kill me for this, I think he has the like if he wants to, he can have the similar play style of Dwayne Wade. Get to his spots.
I was thinking Donovan
can
Mitchell.
shoot.
actually. I was thinking
He can
Donovan
shoot.
Mitchell.
Yeah, but Donovan
That boy
Mitchell
can
would be
shoot. That's
Dwayne
one
Wade
thing
with a
he
jump
can
shot,
do.
like with a 3-pointer. You know what I'm saying?
And he
Like,
could pass. He could.
More like
do
Lonzo.
you guys
all-
think Donovan
he got
Mitchell is
all
more
the
explosive than Dwayne Wade?
I don't think he's
No.
more explosive than Dwayne
No.
Wade, but
Okay.
I do think that I see a lot of similarities in this guy's game that I see.
Yeah,
in
because
Donovan
he
Mitchell.
said D. Mitch a better shooter.
Donovan
You guys
Mitchell.
think he's going to be D Wade good?
I think
he has the poise for it. I think he got the poise for it. I don't think he's gonna be D Wade good, but I think his play style.
I'm saying like Lonzo Ball. He could be like Lonzo Ball in the league.
The first
but I think
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Lonzo big.
no. I just
Lonzo
think,
a bit of
I think
6'6".
But that's
Big
what
boy out
that's the
there.
perfect scenario. That's the perfect scenario right there. Like I think Bryce is gonna be better than Bronny. Like
I
I know
agree.
they're a couple years apart, but I look at them the same way I look at LaMelo and Lonzo.
Well,
I think
here's the
LaMelo
question.
is better than Lonzo.
Here's the question that I have for you guys. Why are we in? I understand that James is getting older. Why are we in such a rush? Because we could screw this kid up rushing him, yo.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We could really screw this
Let him
kid
come
up.
in at 20.
Yeah, we could screw this kid up, pushing this agenda and going, yo, you got to get ready because your father, he's getting older.
Nah,
And
for that,
we could really
gotta
screw
blame
this.
Bron for that.
Right.
We gotta blame Bron because he done publicly came out and said, I want to play with my son. Let
Right.
you plan
We got
until
to.
41,
We gotta
42,
blame Bron for that.
43.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
You know what I'm
what?
saying? Like you,
I'm grown now.
that's
Pop.
the only way I see him. Like you know what I'm saying? Actually going to college, 2
But-
years
but-
of college, maybe.
But
and
it's
still
sweet
playing
if you
with him,
could
but
get him in early just on your rep alone because, hey, Jordan couldn't do that for his son.
Well, I
That's
think
because his sons didn't have the goods.
that,
though.
but that right, and I don't even.
You see what I'm
like,
saying?
that shit right there, I
His
don't
boys
care about
didn't.
that.
Jay's boys didn't have the
I
goods.
seen
This kid,
I seen LeVar Ball push his son to the second spot in the draft.
but the difference is that
he
LeVar
campaigned
Ball.
that.
But and with that also being said, even with him campaigning that, his son had the goods. His boys have the goods. I don't want him pushing this agenda for this kid and ultimately
Right.
screwing him up. Now, I want to make sure we clear. This is his son, and he knows what's best for him, right?
Mhm.
But with that being said, I think that this kid could stand to go to school for a year, 2 years. I don't see him coming out of school after 1 year. I think he can stick around for a year, 2 years, develop, and
You
his
think
body can
Lonzo
get
should have
together.
been the second
Yes.
pick from that UCLA year?
Let me
No.
ask you a
With
question
Jason
though,
Tatum,
Joe.
right?
As a father, would you want college development or would you want NBA development for your son? Because look at Dwayne Wade.
Got
When
NBA
Wade said, "Yo,
development
I'd rather
with
put my
him.
son
He
in the
need to
G
go to
League
college.
and learn from the pros." And you're gonna get it in real time, real action. You're gonna be talking to NBA coaches, NBA versus these college guys. Sometimes you're gonna get some good college work, but sometimes these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean?
But with that
I
being
feel like
said,
every
that's why.
situation is different.
Well, not only that, that's why you pick
That's why I
the
show
right.
if for your son, what would you rather have?
That's why
What
I'm
you
picking
say,
the right.
Chill?
That's why I'm picking the right school for him to go to. And the reason why I'm picking the right school for him to go to is because what I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about a kid. I'm not thinking about a kid that's going to be around grown-ups. Yo, you don't have to rush like your father did. We ain't destitute, right? It ain't bad for us. Matter of fact, we're doing pretty good, my man. So ain't no rush for you to get here. So
you're not a phenom like him.
No, right. Not only that, I can appreciate the logic of being around 18 and 19-year-olds. Now, I'll get to that point where I'm around adults because, again, the league is so young today, right? So you got a bunch of 19, 20, and 21-year-olds running around. But I'd much rather get the feel of being on a college campus, being around 18, 19-year-olds, and being around people who are going to be beneficial to me, not just in my game, but also off the floor, too. They're going to teach me how to be a more productive kid. Because, again, we ain't talking about a grown-up here. We're talking about an 18-year-old kid who I'm going to live on my own. I'm going to live on my own for the first time. So you telling me that instead of me going to school and being around people my age, not just being around people my age, doing what people that I'm 18, 19 years old doing, and putting people around me who are going to safeguard to make sure that I don't go overboard, and putting a coach in my realm that's going to make sure that I have the tools to make sure that I get to the next level. Because last I checked, Calipari is pumping out pros, right? Jim Boeheim up in Syracuse, he was pumping out pros. There's plenty of college coaches where you can put him in the right system and he can get the tutelage where he can become a pro. Because at the G League, you got guys in the G League that also have agendas. They also have agendas too. And don't get me wrong, I can appreciate that it's LeBron James' son, but it might be some people there that'll be looking at you like, I don't care if that's his son. I'm going with this dude. And he could screw him right up. I'm very much interested in making sure that this kid is with the right people, not just with the right people. He's doing the right things because we ain't in no rush. And I
think he should leave state. Get away from Pop.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Go do your thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
You know the thing about that,
regular kids.
The thing about that is this. Usually, when you got a kid that's rushing to try to get to the NBA, it's because I gotta take care of the fam. You know, moms need this. You know, little sis. You know, all that. Bronny don't really got that situation. So for me, it's kind of like, why not go and experience college? Like I said, I think what they said, Ohio State, University of Oregon, either one of those schools. Arizona State, Bronny will have a ball. I think he should just go, try out 2 years real quick.
You said it yourself, Big Ox. He'll come up to Oregon. They will love him up there. And not only would they love him,
come to Ohio State. We there every day.
Same thing. They would love him at Ohio State. And a program like Ohio State, a program like Oregon, there are no misunderstandings. They gotta make this work with him. There is no misunderstanding.
You can't fool the bag.
I'm gonna go with this kid, or I'm gonna make him battle. No, we gotta make this work with this kid. And the reason why we gotta make this work with this kid, because we could screw this up and we could be basically off the radar. And this coach could end up getting himself fired.
For the rest of 20 years, more purgatory.
We gotta get this right with this kid. Absolutely. So I'm more of a fan of him going to school simply because there is no reason for us to rush him. And I don't want to screw him up.
And if he don't become a basketball player, it's all right. It ain't a failure. You could do something else. You could do many things in life, man.
Hey, to be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Jordan's kid, James' kid, I wouldn't touch the basketball.
I wouldn't
have touched the basketball. And the reason why I wouldn't, because I ain't never gonna be that good. Let's get to the bottom of this right now. As good as I can be, as good as I can possibly be. I'm never gonna be that good.
Oh my God.
And that's gonna be the standard. So when I go to school, that's how you don't see me as Bronny James. I'm LeBron James' son. Yeah, and that's the standard for me.
And that's why we look at Lil D-Wag, who his dad was a great high school player. I remember him. You know what I'm saying? And we look at him. Them type of players, kids usually grow up like Dale Curry, Steph Curry. Them kids grow up Klay Thompson's dad. And
that's funny. Looking at a lot of those guys ended up going, like Steph Curry. Steph Curry went to Davidson. If I'm not mistaken, Klay went to another smaller school. Like he didn't even.
Klay went to Washington State.
He went to Washington State. My bad. He went to Washington State. So the thing about it is like you said, Show. I get what you're saying. You don't want to take away the kid aspect of it. You want him to kind of go through all of the stages of life, so that way. Because to be honest with you, like you said, it could work out two different ways. It could work in a positive way, like LaMelo Ball. Because look at LaMelo Ball. Didn't go to college. Went overseas. Played with grown men. Went through grown situations.
He played here too.
Yeah, but it matured him too. Versus LiAngelo, and look what happened with LiAngelo. You know what I'm saying?
Remember too. He went overseas. His father was with him. It wasn't like he went over there by himself. His father was with him when he went over there. So it wasn't like he went to Australia for 4 or 5 months and left him over there to figure it out. No, he was with him. So I think that, Big Ox just mentioned it. To come up to Oregon, to go to Ohio State, to go to a school like that, they got to make it work. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to screw this kid up, and I don't want to rush it. A prime example, and this last thing I'm going to say about it.
Next time. I'm already on here, Ryan.
The prime example is Richard Williams. What he did with his kids with both Venus and Serena. He did not push those girls into being this early. No, I got 14, I got 15-year-old girls. I'm not going to just shove them into the spotlight. Nah, they're going to be kids, and they're going to do what kids do and see how they turned out. And I think that's the important thing with Bronny James. And again, I'm not telling him how to raise his kid because I think he's doing a fantastic job as a father. Fantastic job as a father. But I'd like to see him go to school because he ain't ready yet.
He know that.
So this next one, let me get to this next super chat. Andrew G came through and said, just wanted to say, I'm more worried about the Cavs than Bucks for my Celtics. Tatum just has this ultra confidence against the Bucks now. Christmas.
I
still Cleveland, man.
Yeah.
Cleveland's cool.
Hold on. My man is a Boston guy, so we can.
So with the Boston guy.
Yeah, let's start with the Boston guy right up there, top left corner. He's a Boston guy.
I'm surprised you just sat there and took that.
Yeah, he's a Boston guy. So.
No, he shook his head. He didn't agree with it.
I don't agree. I think the Bucks are way better than the Cavs, like by a lot. Like I don't think as much as
ain't that big of a gap. Right there, right there. Nah,
right here.
No, a little more.
I don't think the gap between them is that big.
Yeah, right there. Right there. But the Jarrett Allen and Mobley in the playoffs, I don't think that their defense is going to translate as much because I don't think that they can cover up as many mistakes from Garland and Mitchell because Okoro, he hasn't been consistent from 3 throughout the season. They don't really have any wing shooters on that team. They lost K-Love, even though he wasn't playing great. And Allen and Mobley, they're consistent, but they've had slight injury problems this season. Garland and Mitchell are very inconsistent shooting-wise. Like, they'll have games where one of them shoots super inefficient and they lose strictly on the on the case of just that
shooting.
Yeah, but I think the Bucks are just way more consistent as a team. They're complete on defense. They got wing defenders, paint defenders, and great defenders at the guard position too.
Yeah.
So I just think
their shooting's up and down as well. So I think my fault. I didn't want to. Yeah, go ahead.
They have Ingles. They have Crowder. They have Allen, they have Connaughton. They have more shooters in general,
they have more shooters,
in my opinion. So that, like, even if some shooters are being inconsistent, they just have more people to plug in. Yeah, like they have Carter too. Like they just have a lot of people that they can put in who are all like strong rotational pieces.
Now, I saw you kind of screw face a little bit when he said about Mobley, and now what he's talking about is he's talking about in the playoffs. When you're in the playoffs, what we do is we completely focus on you. Right. So whatever deficiencies you got, we're gonna put a spotlight on them like an interrogation room. So the logic that he was coming up with is what Garland and what Mitchell, those mistakes that they make, it's gonna be difficult for both Mobley and Allen to make up for those, especially when we get to the playoffs, because we're gonna illuminate that. So they might, if Garland is a mismatch, we're gonna go after Garland, and if going after Garland means beating up on Mobley a little bit more, right? And maybe getting Mobley in foul trouble, as opposed to we only saw this team today, which is Wednesday. We don't got to see them again for another month. We see this team today. We see them again on Saturday. So now what we're doing is we're illuminating whatever their deficiencies are. We're going to illuminate that. So that might be especially when you get into the later rounds with the better teams.
The reason why I screwed up my face, I'm gonna say this, and I agree with you 110%. But I think that is just like Primo just indicated, coaching and experience. I don't think Allen and Mobley don't have the capability of covering, because I think for big men, they are the most two mobile big men that I've seen, side to side, moving side to side and up and down the court, vertically as well. So I think the rim pressure that Tatum and Brown are going to get, I think they can negate a lot of that consistent rim pressure. However, if Horford is hitting at an absurd clip, like for some strange reason he found out he's a stretch big, then we having a different conversation. But if Horford is shooting mediocre and it's up and down, I like my chances with the rotations. You know what I'm saying? And D. Mitch has been a way better defender this year compared to his times in Utah. I think he's fighting over the screen a little bit more. He doesn't die on the screens as much, knowing that he has two big guys that robot. Now, Okoro defensively, I think he's going to be the point of attack defender versus Brown and them.
I love Cleveland, my man. I ain't gonna fight.
I think it's all experience.
I think Mobley's the defensive player. Year, I do. I think Mobley's the defensive player.
Thank you. Because Jokic went crazy on Brook Lopez the other day, and nobody wants to talk about that. He turned him into barbecue chicken. Jokic said, "Come here, DPOY. Come here." My friend, go ahead.
My thing is, my problem with Cleveland isn't how their bigs are going to translate defensively. It's more so to do with their wings. I don't think they have the defense out on the perimeter, and even with the interior defense, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be too much. If their perimeter guys are getting like drove by just too much, it's going to get to the point where Mobley and Allen are going to start getting into foul trouble as well. And I feel like that's a big problem for Cleveland. It's been a problem for them all year, and I expect that to continue into the playoffs. And so I disagree with the take that Cleveland's a bit bigger problem than Milwaukee. Because a lot of what Cleveland doesn't have, Milwaukee does. They have wings that can guard out there and can shoot, unlike Cleveland, which I will say this, every contending team in the NBA to make a finals run, they need wings that can shoot and guard. They need them. Cleveland doesn't have it. And
that's one.
But my thing is, I think the question is asked backwards. I think it should more so be asked of Boston to Milwaukee or Cleveland to Milwaukee than Boston to Milwaukee.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of my stance on it.
It's not because
of Mobley and Allen. It's more so because of the lack of depth and wings. That's
I feel like Cleveland should have made a trade.
I don't like the coach that much.
You don't like bigger
I don't like the Celtics coach.
No, not Cleveland coach.
Oh, Cleveland.
Boston's
coach.
I'm
out on him too. I'm out on him.
I disagree.
He's trying to be like Ime Udoka, and it's not happening.
Man, Doka was better than him.
Why are you out on him?
It's not that I'm out on him.
I
think that getting too much credit. Huh?
Keep going.
Go ahead. We hear you more.
I think he's getting too much credit for a team that last year was better than this team this year. Got the same players that been to the finals now, so you really don't got to tell Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown too much what to do. But the defensive, they was top dog on defense last year. They got the same type of players, the same wings, Marcus Smart there. I just don't think his coaching this year has been as top dog as it. Like y'all was up here talking about Budenholzer's coaching, but his coaching been good this year. They played without Giannis, won without Giannis. Chris Middleton been playing mediocre. You see what I'm saying? That's coaching. He got Brook Lopez. He old as dirt, about to win the Defensive Player of the Year. That's good coaching. I don't believe in Boston's coaching this year. I just don't.
What about you, Mar? How you feel about that, Mar? What's up?
I just completely disagree. The way that he's implemented game plans for them against bigger teams and smaller teams. Ime Udoka last year, he ran a lot of defensive sets that were oriented on running a lot of wings and keeping Robert Williams in the game for extended periods of time. So whenever he had Rob back, if you notice that they were really poor on defense before they had Rob, and they started out the season really slow. And then once they had Rob, they started to pick up. They got way better on defense. They shot up the ranking. He really relied on Rob Williams to orchestrate them on defense.
Still there though.
Switch out onto guards. But this year, when Rob Williams was injured, the defense stayed the same. And I think that's with Joe Mazzulla being able to coach them, being able to coach the guards for better wing rotations, and also helping Tatum and Brown and other guys like that switch on the centers and do a better job.
I'm gonna ask you a question. One question before you move on. Last year, when the playoffs started on the East, who did you think would win the East?
The Bucks.
You thought the Bucks would win the East with no Middleton and nothing?
Well, he didn't get hurt to the He didn't get hurt to that Chicago
so
series.
I heard Boston the whole time I was
No, I
starting
didn't.
up.
No.
I was hearing Boston.
Can I just say that?
I had Milwaukee winning the NBA championship.
I knew they was gonna beat the Nets.
Before
I didn't know
Middleton
they
got
was
hurt,
gonna
I had them winning it again.
No,
My thing with Missoula, it's kind of
Giannis.
I don't want to. Oh, sorry.
My fault. Go ahead.
I'm sorry if I interrupted anybody, but my thing with Joe Mazzulla, it's not to the same level, but it's kind of the same problems that I would have with a guy like Doc Rivers. He'll come up with a game plan before the game, and it'll work, right? Things are going well. They're playing good defense, but then when halftime hits and the other team makes their halftime adjustments and they start to pencil in different players, they change the rotation a little bit. Boston stays the exact same.
That's why I'm out. That's why I'm out on it.
That's
If a coach that doesn't make adjustments, that's no good. That's no good at any level. Fellas. But we run, like I said, we run the show off of super chats. We gotta pay attention to the chat. But So what I'm about to do is actually I'm gonna let y'all do this super chat with us, and then I gotta excuse y'all. We're gonna keep it moving. So what Peter Arthur wants to know is Booker Tatum. Who was better offensively? Who you got, D. Reed?
Because I feel like Booker more consistent. He's better at finishing. I think he's better in the mid range. At the three, you could, it's a pick him from the three, but playmaking, I feel like Devin Booker isn't asked to do it as much because he got Chris Paul, but I've seen him, diamond shit up, 10 assists, a couple of games. So I'll probably take Book.
You got Book? Primo, who you got?
JT Money.
JT, Mark, should I even ask you? Is this obvious?
I can give a few reasons why.
I mean, go ahead. We got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
I got Tatum specifically more because of playmaking. I think scoring wise, they're pretty similar in the fact that they get you like a certain amount of points every night. Doesn't really matter how efficient they are. They're going to get you their 20 or whatever most nights. But I think when it comes to playmaking, Devin Booker, he has a lot of playmakers on his team, and he still doesn't really find a way to create assists or to create people. I feel like most of his assists come from him getting the ball and swinging it on plays and stuff like that, or in transition, more than it's like him in the half court creating offense like Tatum can.
Yeah, context. Who you got?
Damn, this is kind of tricky. To be honest with you, so for me, I think is all right. Let me give my reason, and I'll just give my answer afterward. So for me, I think it's a tricky question because I think Booker has figured out what he is offensively earlier than Tatum. I think he found his spots. He know what type of style he is, but I don't think he has evolved since he's found out what his style is. I think Devin Booker's style hasn't evolved from maybe 2 years ago. It's been pretty much the same thing. Mid-range, to the rack here and there, pull up three, same dribble combo, stuff like that. I think Jason Tatum is a little bit more layered, but to Chill's point, I don't think he doesn't ride on that layering. I don't think he takes advantage. I think he takes it on few occasions. You know what I mean? I think but I don't think he relies on those sweet spots like Kobe did. Like, you know what I mean? That one dribble pull up, dribble pull up. I think Brown takes a better dribble pull up than Tatum does, which is weird.
So who you got? Offensive.
So I got Tatum. Okay,
P5, who you got?
For me, it's really close. I think Booker's just overall the better scorer. I think he can shoot better. I think he gets to his spots better, and I think he takes better shots than Tatum does. But when it comes to playmaking, I don't think the gap is that big. I think Booker's actually a pretty solid playmaker. He just doesn't get to show a lot of it off. He's on a team with Chris Paul, who's mostly handling the ball, trying to find Booker. Tatum's. I would still take Tatum there. I think Tatum's the better offensive rebounder. If you want to take that into account, I think he's the better finisher. I have Tatum as by far the better player, but when it comes to straight offense,
it's close.
It's really close. I'm going to have to lean a little bit towards Tatum just because I think he can do a little bit more than just score the ball, and I do think he's a better playmaker slightly. but it's Tatum by a little.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, fellas. Well, appreciate y'all for stopping by. Y'all kick back. Y'all
chill. You gotta say chill. Who you got? Chill.
Y'all chill. I got this. I know.
Now I wanted to hear what Chill said. My fault.
I know. But hey, yo, let me host.
My fault, big dog. My fault.
I got this. So, but now, fellas, though, that's what I'm about to say. Y'all stay tuned in. Watch the remainder of the show. Y'all gonna be able to hear Chill's answer to this and
shout out Big Chill, man.
Copy. Like the beam.
Peace out, y'all. Appreciate
y'all. De'Aaron Fox, man. Sabonis is better than Jokic. That's all I'm gonna say. Sabonis is better than Jokic.
Hey, you spitting right now.
Come on. That's a triple double waiting to happen. Sabonis is a triple.
The 70s was the real big man era.
Nah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Look it up. That's my next argument when I come back.
Okay, we're gonna have that one ready for you.
Yeah, we will, no doubt. We definitely will.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
so,
yo,
to answer this though, who you got?
Big Ox, this, to be honest with you, I don't think that I need to go. They said a whole bunch of other stuff. The one thing that they left out, and I always felt like this. Jason Tatum gets that mid-range in his game, that 12 to 15, that 15 to 18 consistently. He a top 3 player in the game for the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah. I saw little spurts of it earlier on this season. I kind of did drop off. I kind of dropped off watching a little bit for the Celtics, but I was seeing a lot of that mid range. He was killing the mid range.
I saw him on Christmas. He had Drew Holiday in the mid range a couple of nights ago, and they played the Knicks. He had Quigley in the mid range. I'm thinking, my man, you get that in your game on a consistent basis. He a top 3 player in the game for the next 5 to 8 years because he got all the other stuff. All the other stuff, he got it.
Yeah, no doubt.
All the other stuff, he got it. No doubt.
Let me see. Lou Bangs. Ox, what are your top 3 songs from 36 Chambers? Okay, Lou Bangs, I see you notice, I got my little album collection up there.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go from 3, 2, 1. I think that 3 probably got Bring the Ruckus. That 2 probably Protection Neck. And then of course we all know Kareem is the number 1 on that one. You got a top 3 songs from that album?
The 2 that you just said Kareem. I'm with that one. Bring the Ruckus and Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing with.
Oh, that's a fact.
Those was my 3. Oh my goodness. I gotta add to that question. So Big Ox, who is your favorite Wu member?
Hey, that's the chef.
Okay.
Raekwon for sure. No doubt. I love Method Man. I love all them cats, but it's nothing like Raekwon. I don't know.
The chef was your guy, no doubt.
It's the chef for sure.
Feel that.
Yeah, I swear I really, so the whole Players Choice family, I look at the Players Choice family like the Wu-Tang Clan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We kind of disperse. We doing our little shows and whatnot, and taking names. Yeah, study. I got great taste, Matter of fact, let me just say, if y'all don't got this Rapture from Anita Baker, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You must not love music.
Hey man, if you ain't listening to Anita Baker, I don't care how old you are. You ain't got a woman. You don't.
Thanks. Hey, chat. Let us hear who is your favorite Wu-Tang member. We need to know who is your favorite Wu-Tang member. Y'all let us know.
No doubt.
It's about damn time. Is Jaden McDaniels the best defender in the NBA?
I don't think so. I mean, from the you might say from a numbers standpoint, but I don't know if he's a better defender than Mobley. I don't think he's a better defender than Herb Jones. So just those 2 guys off the top of my head, I don't think he's a better defender than them. I think Herb Jones causes so much havoc. Herb's ability to close out, him being left-handed, and not just being left-handed. A lot of people, left-handed defenders, are really unorthodox, and they screw guys up a lot. And when I watch Herb Jones, he gives me a lot of Bruce Bowen vibes. That's what he reminds me of a lot when I watch him. He's really handsy. He doesn't get bullied very much, You know, he's always in spots that make it difficult on the defense. His ability to close out is one of the best in the game. Like, he's always challenging shots. Yeah. Very rarely do I see him when guys are scoring on him. Very rarely do I see him getting roasted more than guys are just making tough shots on him, right? So him in particular, I think about him. I'm not sure if McDaniels a better defender than Vanderbilt. I mean, they were on the same team at one point. I don't know if he a better defender than Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt looked like the better defender with the Lakers. It may be because he in a better system right now, right? Yeah,
I'm hoping that alongside Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt can really show how great of a defender he is. If he's as good as I think he is,
right?
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
Alex Pickering. Oh my God. Thoughts on Lavar saying Bronny should play pro here in Australia instead of college? Hey, Alex, I didn't know you was down under, Alex.
Nice. I didn't know you was down under neither. Again, man, I'm more of a fan of letting kids be kids. I don't want to rush this kid. And I think that him going to school more than anything, because it's not about the money. I want to make sure that we play on that. So him going to Australia and making money, he could go to college and get an NIL deal and still make money, right? Not
so
only
probably more.
Right. Again, he's not destitute. Pardon me. He's not destitute when it comes to bread. Right. I come from wealth. So my father did a pretty good job of setting us up. So I'm not in a particular rush in terms of money. So going to play in Australia, does that mean that I'm gonna play against better competition as opposed to going to play in the Pac-12 up at Oregon, right? Where I'm playing in one of the best leagues in the country, and I'm playing against dudes, and I'm playing for a coach that's gonna get me acclimated to the pro game. So I'm not really sure if playing overseas is the best course of action, but I think that it could work. I'm more of a fan of him going to school though, because I don't think he's ready. I don't.
I am as well. I definitely think he should go ahead and experience the college life and get ready. The thing is, I mean, he's LeBron James' son. He got access to all the best trainers, the best stuff like that. So he'll be he'll develop his game regardless. But go
ahead, keep going.
Once you miss out on college, you miss out on college.
That's it.
You
right.
Can't go back.
And he's not like Bryant when Bryant came out of high school, or James or Kid. He's not a phenom. Yeah. So he's not one of those guys. So like Bryant, KG, James, like those dudes didn't need to go to school. They were wasting their time. Zion was wasting his time going to college. He was just head and shoulders better than those guys. James, on the other hand, he needs to develop himself. I don't just mean as a basketball player, but also as a young man. And I think that he can do that being around people his age, as opposed to you throwing him in the G League with dudes that's been in there 3-4 years, not just college, but in the G League 3-4 years, 4 or 5 years, and a coach that the fact that he's got his son there, he might be looking at this thing all the way different. You can't control that situation. You can actually get him in a situation in college where he can be with a coach that he's going to make sure that this dude gets the best care. And not only the best care, but automatically he got to make this work. We know that he got to make this work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. I think Bronny's better than I thought he was going to be. And I'm really excited to see the little brother, Bryce. I think Bryce is going to be, because he's already a little bigger. So
that's what I'm saying, Ox. Am I sleeping on this kid? Because I heard he like 6'5", 6'6". I mean, I've heard that, he might be better than his brother.
Yeah, because I think Bronny like 6'3".
Yeah.
And when they're by each other, it looks like Bryce got an easy 2 inches on him. So he got to be 6'5", 6'6". And I mean, but he's younger, so he's probably 14, maybe 15. I don't know. He's around that age. So he got a couple inches left in him. He can end up being 6'8".
Damn.
And he got game. So let's see. I'm excited about those kids.
So are we looking at a situation between Bryce and Bronny like with Lonzo and LaMelo, where my second boy, he might be better than this dude that you're seeing right now? Are we looking at that? Are we looking at that kind of situation? All right.
Potentially, I could see that. I could see it being that. Speaking of them, Nuance came through and wants to know what you think about the Ball brothers and the injuries, because now the middle brother might need ankle surgery. Is it too much, too young?
It might be, man. I mean, you dudes was talking to me about this AAU and how many games these dudes play every year and how much of a pounding it's been on their bodies. And now these dudes get to the league at such a young age. I mean, Lonzo, he ain't 25. He's 24 years old and he's breaking down. So they talking about he might miss the whole season next year. So now LaMelo, he may have to get ankle surgery. Are these guys breaking down because they play too much? I'm having a difficult time with that because I'm just remembering. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm having a difficult time with that because I remember that's all we did when we were kids was play.
Basketball is an all-year sport. Basketball is an all-year-round sport.
Right. It doesn't matter if it's freezing outside or it's 90 degrees outside. You can find a game, and that's all we did. So the idea, and add that to the fact, Ox, that technology today where you can keep these guys in the best health possible. So why are these guys breaking down? I don't think it's because it's too much. Why are they breaking down? I don't get it.
It's a mystery. I'm not sure. They for them, because they're all obviously same. You know, they're all related. It could be something like that. They could just
in the family. It could very well be something. It could be very well something in the family. Sure.
Because I mean, as you know, there's simple things that could, like being flat-footed. That could how that can do to your lower back.
Yeah.
You know, so it could be just simple things in anatomy that they just picked up from one of their grandfathers or something. You know, I can't call it, but it's something.
It could very well be something like that, though. It could.
Yeah, because I don't think it's about playing AAU because we played every weekend. You know, we were playing all the time, and I don't know. I mean, kids would get hurt, but
during the week after school we played, so it wasn't like it was a situation where we only played during the week. We played after school too, and we did it all day long,
training, everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brian Holiday, big fan, Chill. I think the shame of the fame Portland era is that Aldridge signed with the Spurs. Yeah. I think Dame, CJ, and Aldridge could have had a championship level offense.
To let him just walk out the front door like that, man, that was nuts to me, yo. Because I do feel like CJ was becoming that guard that they needed. Like a lot of people talk about CJ. CJ wasn't awesome. CJ had a 6-year stretch. Actually, he averaged 20 a game. Like how many guards do we have? How many teams do we have in the league where you got a backcourt that's averaging 20 a game? Like when these two dudes was doing it, they were in the conversation with John Wall and Bradley Beal. They were in the conversation with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They were in that conversation as the best backcourt in the game. And to have LaMarcus Aldridge just walk out the front door. Now I understand what San Antonio sold them because Tim Duncan was on his way out. So the idea was, you're basically going to supplant Tim Duncan and you're going to be our guy, which did make a lot of sense and it was enticing. But what they was doing in Portland, they were on to something, man. They were really on to something. And to let him walk out the front door, that was shocking to me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Somebody really messed that one up.
For real.
Brandon from the block. I don't know how DeMarcus Cousins haven't gotten signed yet. There are so many teams that could use him right now.
Because it's more than just basketball, my man. Don't think that for 1 second that it's just your game. Because if it was just your game, there'd be plenty of dudes that's still in the league. Nah, there's a lot. There's an aspect of professionalism. There's an aspect of politics that comes into this. And there are teams that look for other guys who aren't as talented, but are more that are less difficult to deal with than guys like DeMarcus Cousins. And because they're less difficult to deal with, they'll go with them. There's plenty of teams that I'll go with a guy that's less talented, but he's less of a headache. And I'll go with him as opposed to DeMarcus Cousins, who, as good as DeMarcus Cousins was, how good is he still? And is he worth the headache? And is he worth putting up with at this point? So it's not just your game. Because I think DeMarcus Aldridge may still be able to play at a high level. The question is how professional is he? What kind of attitude does he have? And it's stuff like that that's the difference between making a roster and sitting at home.
Yeah, facts. Timothy Hobbs. Chill. Please go watch McDaniels highlights this year. Herb Jones, stop it. LOL. You sleep on Jaden. He's the best perimeter defender in the entire NBA.
I'm not sleeping on him. Sleeping on him would be like, what am I? Why are we even having this conversation? Jalen McDaniels, he ain't even in the stratosphere. I'm not sleeping on him. I just look at Herb Jones and I look at the defender that he is. I look at his ability to close out, his ability to one-on-one defend, his ability to recover when he gets beat. Now, you're a lot different. Now, remember, too, it's a lot different as a defender. This guy, McDaniels, you playing a lot different as a defender when you got Rudy behind you. So I got somebody that could clean up my mistakes. So with me doing that, it's a lot less difficult for me. I'm more apt to take chances. I'm more apt to be more aggressive. Herb Jones doesn't have that behind him. He got Valanciunas behind him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's got to be smarter. He can't be as aggressive. He got to pick and choose when to be aggressive. And he's effective when he's doing that. So I don't think it's a wash. Don't get me wrong. But when I think about Herb Jones as a defender, as an on-ball defender, as a weak side defender, as a closeout defender, his ability to recover when he gets beat, I think he's arguably the best perimeter defender in the game. I do.
But chill. My thing about this super chat, which Timothy Hobbs, we appreciate it. Thank you for supporting. But Timothy, we can't just go watch the highlights.
No.
You know, we got to watch the game and see what's going on.
And I watched Minnesota, and Big Ox will tell you that I was high on Minnesota before the season started. I had them as a top 5 seed. Yeah. I think they're game out the 5 spot. So I was high on Minnesota. So I pay attention to them. I'm not sleeping on them, no doubt. I'm not.
I'm really happy that Minnesota is doing good because just as you did, I was saying like y'all just got to give them some chance. Now I didn't see Cat going out, and some people think that might have helped that defense get better, but still, I knew something was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let me see who's this one. Boom, Christopher D. Y'all still going or y'all wrapping it up? I want to go through your two. Yeah, I mean we still on Christopher, but you know we'll probably do that one next week. You know, you jump on next week, and we'll have time to go through that because going through the 2016 NBA Finals, that's going to take us another 25 minutes. So
yeah, it is.
You know, let's run that tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'm sorry, next week.
Yeah,
we do got a couple minutes left, Chill. I know we almost there, but I wanted to ask you a question because it's crazy that we didn't talk about this on the panel yesterday. We also didn't talk about this earlier this morning on the Players' Choice show. What happened with Luka Doncic and the NBA rescinding that technical foul that would have put him out of the game against the Pacers? What's going on with that?
Well, a lot of times referees they go off a guy's reputation, right? So when a guy has a reputation of being a hothead or being combative, referees already come into the game with that. So with Luka Doncic, you might have a referee who already got his mind made up that, if this dude say one thing to me, I'm teeing him up. When in reality, that might not be the case. And that's the reputation that Luka has already developed. Luka is a whiner. Luka barks at the referees all the time. Luka is always complaining. So because he's doing that, you got a referee that's already got his guards up as soon as he sees Luka. There's no diplomacy with him. As soon as he sees Luka, the first thing this dude say to me, I'm teeing him up. Well, hold on now. There are technical fouls that aren't warranted, and that wasn't one of them. It just looked like it was just something where these two dudes, it didn't seem like it warranted a technical foul from Luka. Plus, you got to remember too, there are some politics involved in this too, Big Ox, because we're in a playoff race, and we can't afford to have Luka miss games because of something like this, and it just looks bad on the optics. It looks really bad on the optics. It might this technical foul might not be rescinded in January, but I don't think that it was worthy of being a technical foul. But it might not be rescinded in January.
Okay, Chill. Now I got to ask you this: what happens? Let's say they make it they make the play-in. Let's say they're the 9 seed, last game of the season. Luka gets attacked. What happens then?
He has to be smarter than that. He has to be. He cannot let that happen because again, we in a playoff race. And being in a playoff race, we need you. And we'll need you every other night or every third night. No, we need him every night. So he's got to be really selective on, number one, what he says to the refs, how he is with the officials, because he can't get himself in any trouble. Because something like that happening, that could be detrimental to them. Them losing him
So now he gets one more, he gets the 16th, right? Then he misses a game.
He got a
then if he gets 2 more after that, he misses another game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's
he has to be smarter about how he handles the officials. Again, Ox, we're talking about a dude who already got a reputation for being combative with the refs, complains all the time, he's always looking at the refs. So because of that, refs are already coming in armed. They're already ready for him. And he knows at this particular time that, I can't get myself in any more trouble. He has to be smarter than that.
He can't help himself. He's a prima donna.
He might be, He might be. And to be honest with you, I watch him and it gets irritating after a while. With every trip, he'll go to the basket and he's looking at the referees. And I'm like, my man, just rock. Please.
I thought LeBron and Draymond were bad. Luka is ridiculous with
man, just rock, yo. I mean, you're gonna get some contact. He's not gonna blow the whistle every time. Give me a break.
Right.
Picking up that skin of yours.
Yeah. Well, I just actually thought about that a couple minutes ago. That would be maybe one of the wildest things that happen this season if they make the playing game and Luka gets to take the last game of the season, meaning he missed the playing game. I hope that doesn't happen, but hey, for the storyline, I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
I'm here for it too.
Right on. Will, Big ChillTown. It was another successful episode of Chill with Chill. It was my pleasure as always. Chat, we love y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by. ChillTown, you got any final words?
Go UConn. Go UConn. Yeah, go UConn. I am a little emotionally invested, but go UConn. No doubt about that. So
shout out J Rob. I hope you tuning into that UConn.
Go UConn. So take it light, but take it.
All right, man. Y'all make sure y'all take care of yourself. Drink some water and do not drink and drive. Oh, hold on, my man, Tyson Thomas. Salute, Chill and Ox. Respect, health, and wealth. Right on. We'll leave with that one.
Thanks, brother. We appreciate you.